Bismillah, read tafadhal. I think we finished the last hadith complete. Now we're starting a new hadith today. Bismillah, tafadhal. Come closer, closer. أن نخيض أن نخيضها البحر لأخذناها, right? Okay, just remember where you stopped there. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Look at the previous hadith. وعن أنس, right? وعنه يعني أن أنس قال إن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, that verily Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم, right? شاور حين بلغنا إقبال بني سفيان. شاور يشاور. He consulted, right? He consulted. هنا is a zarf, when بلغنا إقبال, when the advancement of Abu Sufyan reached us, right? وقام سعد بن عبادة, then سعد بن عبادة, he stood up فقال يا رسول الله, he said يا رسول الله والذي نفسي بيده, I take a qasam by the one whom my soul is in his hand, لو أمرتنا أن نخيضها البحر, if you command us that we must take it, we must dive with it into the ocean, right? لَأَخَذْنَاهَا, we will dive or we will drive it into the ocean. Subhanallah. This is, okay, let's leave the explanation for last after that. But just remember that if you tell us, Ya Rasulullah, that we must take our cavalry and we must take our horses and we must take it into the depths of the ocean, then we will do that, right? Carry on. إلى برق الغمام, right? And if you like, I'll give you the literal translation first, and I'll tell you what it means. ولو أمرتنا, and if you have to instruct us, Ya Rasulullah, that we strike, not right, the levers of it to برق الغمام, to برق الغمام, لفعلنا, we'll do that. Now, normally, I don't know, did you ever see somebody riding a horse? You ever saw anybody riding? Did you ride a horse ever? Never ride a horse. You sat on a horse before. So normally what happens, you see those guys, they have in their hand what they call a crop, right? So that crop, you, like this, you have the reins in your hand like this, and with the crop, you hit that thing on the side. You understand what I'm saying? You hit, to get the horse to move faster, whatever, you knock it on his side here, right? So uh, so um, so obviously maybe the liver is situated in this area of the horse or the camel or whatever. So not so to give it motion, like how we say, we will put our foot to the pedal. We say, what you say, you put your foot to the pedal, it means you move. So that hitting the horse means to make or hitting the camel means to make it travel. That's why in Arabic, when you speak about travel, you say darbul akbad. You understand what I'm saying? Because when you want it to move, you strike it with that crop on the side, and as a result of that, it moves. So that word has become synonymous. So you say, we will travel nadribu akbada khuyulina, nadribu akbada uh, jamalina, whatever. So that is akbada jam of kabidun, right? So if you instruct that we must hit the levers of our horses ila barqil khimadi, then we will do that. La fa'alna. Carry on. Right. فندب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الناس فانطلقوا حتى نزلوا. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he encouraged the people until they reached Badr, right? Right. Then Nabi Sallallahu said, Hada Masra Fulanin. This will be the falling place. We done the tahqiq of this word. Tara'a Yasra'u means to fall, right? Sari'un, someone who has fallen. Masra means the place of falling, right? This will be the place of falling of certain place, right? Sorry, this will be the falling place of certain place, right, person, right? وَيَضَعُ يَدَهُ الْأَرْض, and he put his hand exactly there, right? Carry on. Year and year. Nobody passed the place of the hand of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, subhanallah. Muslim narrates this particular riwayat. Okay, so there's few things here we want to discuss, um, and we will obviously discuss the miracle. The first thing is this here. Remember the story of Badr. That we done when we started also that first hadith that the Meccans would go to Baytul Maqdis for trade. Remember the famous hadith where Abu Sufyan met Herakl there, etc. They'd go on a train delegation. I told you, if you look at Makkah, there was no industry. Even according to that time, they wouldn't really make anything. There was no really farming, nothing. So they were mostly tradespeople. They would go buy things, then they would sell it to the people who came for Hajj, etc. So they were mostly tradespeople. So a trade caravan was coming from where? From Jerusalem, from Baitul Maqdis, or any one of those areas, and was going to pass by there. So initially, the plan was to waylay this caravan, to break the economic might of the mushrikeen. So you see, you speak about, physical warfare, you speak about ideological warfare, you speak about economic warfare, breaking the economic might of the enemy of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So yeah, today we speak about boycotting Israeli products. We speak about boycotting all those companies that support the Zionists, etc. That you must break the economic might. Here you've got your proof. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted to attack this caravan and break the economic might. Today, if somebody asks you, what is the proof for boycotting those companies that support the Zionists in whichever way, support them through lands, dollars, whatever. Here's your proof that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam here wanted to break. So there are many different forms of warfare, ideological, propaganda warfare. We'll give you proof for that. Remember in the time of Uhud also, when they said, "Where's Muhammad?" What Nabi appointed, they told us Umar to keep quiet first, and eventually they responded and say, "We have a Rabb, you don't have a Rabb," etc. What is that? Ideological propaganda, etc. But anyway, that will come at another time. But for the time being, just remember this: we're speaking about economic warfare. So initially, the idea was to waylay the caravan and break the economic might. But somehow or the other, Abu Sufyan got wind that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his Sahaba Ikram are after him. So he took a different route. And at the same time, Abu Jahl, he heard about the Muslims that had come out. Now remember, I told you we discussed this yesterday also. Remember Abu Jahl, despite Nabi Sallallahu not being in Makkatul Mukarramah, he still perceived Nabi Sallallahu as a threat. He thought, look here, he might grow in Medina and he will come back to bite us. He will come back to haunt us. So he took this as an opportunity now to, right, maybe do away with Rasulullah Sallallahu, break the might of the Muslimin, etc. So now when it came to the question that now what are we as a Muslim going to do? So now we need to go back a bit in history. Remember when the whole idea was mooted of the Mennonites accepting Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and housing him and looking after him. So the agreement there was that we will protect Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as long as he is in Medina. There was no agreement to protect Nabi sallallahu out of Medina. Are you with me? That was the agreement. As long as, and here now the question that was, remember, there was, if you remember, you see, there was two agreements. First, a small delegation came of about 6 or 8 people, and they spoke to Rasulullah. Then a bigger delegation came back at a later stage to finalize all the nitty gritties about, taking Nabi in, etc. So this was also this is referred to Laylatul Aqaba. You guys, Laylatul Aqabatul Ula and Laylatul Aqabatul Thaniya, right? So now Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was not sure now, right? That will they accept to go and fight Abu Jahl and his army and his party out of Medina, whatever? Or will they be happy to, go beyond the agreement, etc.? Right? And then this is when the Ansar made this epic statement that can be etched in gold. They said, Ya Rasulullah Sallallahu, if you command us to dive into the ocean with our horses, then we are ready to do it. Ya Rasulullah Sallallahu, if you command us to undertake so another akbadaha ila barkil hamami, undertake a long journey, we are ready to do it. So they were ready and they were at the service of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They were ready and they were ready to serve the deen of Islam. May Allah Ta'ala reward them all on behalf of us. Because if it was not for their khidmat, it was not their service, then obviously we wouldn't be here today. So Allah Ta'ala, فَجَزَاهُمُ اللَّهُ عَنَّا أَحْسَنَ الْجَزَاء. So, أَخَادَ يُخِيضُ, remember that? Means, نُخِيضُهَا, the ha refer to our cavalry, our horses, to take it to the depths of the ocean, right? So we are ready to take it to the depths of the ocean, right? So they showed that, so they were more than willing. They were more than willing to serve Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They were more than willing to serve the deen of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I told you these two words are expressive of their open their willingness, right? Then Barakal Himadi. Interesting. Barakal Himad is actually, according to some ulama, it is a place in Habsha, right? It's a place in Ethiopia. Some ulama say no, it's a place in Yemen. Even that doesn't matter where the place is, but it is just indicative. It is used for a place of very far away, right? Like, we say, I must go from here to Timbuktu. Like, you don't really mean this guy's sending me all over the show. He's sending me, I must go from here, I must go to Timbuktu, I must come back, etc. So it is just an expression because it was a distant place where it was known to the Arabs of Arabia. So it became synonymous with like a long journey. You know what I'm saying? So it's not really that that particular place was intended. Like, so if somebody say, hey, you sending me to Timbuktu and back, and what's the story here? What's happening? So it was just expressive of it. So in other words, they were saying, Ya Rasulullah, if you tell us to go to the depths of the ocean with our horses, we'll do that. If you send us to a distant place, even Timbuktu, we will do it for you. We are ready. Even though our initial agreement was that we're only going to defend you in Madinah Munawwara, but obviously after spending time with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Sa'd ibn Ubadah, yeah, he was these were the leaders. Although some riwayat says here, some riwayat suggest he spoke to Hazrat Mu'az radiallahu ta'ala anhu, but doesn't matter. You could have maybe as Mu'az, Sa'd Mubadah, they were all the leaders of the Ansar. So they were more than willing. This now we come to the main part. This is the main part here. Masra. Sara'a means to fall. That Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam exactly pointed out the falling place of each person. He said, "Ya Abu Jahl will be, Ya Umayyah ibn Khalf will be," and exactly as he predicted, exactly, those people were found fallen on that place. So this from ma. One is mata, what they thought to die, and mata. They didn't go beyond that place. They didn't go beyond that place. Exactly they went to there. So in other words, this shows you this is the miracle, the accurate prediction of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to exactly which where each person will fall. So yeah, you get the Barelwis, they say that Nabi Salsam had knowledge of the unseen. Yes, at times Allah Ta'ala did give Nabi Salsam knowledge of the unseen, but he did not have absolute knowledge of the unseen. Okay, so this is one of those instances, these are one of the miracles where Allah Ta'ala divulged information of the future to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and there's a miracle in question. Read the next verse, Ismail. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وعن ابن عباس أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال وهو في قبة يوم بدر. Narrating the authority of Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, whilst he was in Qubba in his tent on the day of Badr, right? Allahumma anshuduka Allahumma anshuduka ahdaka ya. So this means I implore you, I take an oath to you, anshuduka ahdaka wa ahdaka, Allahumma in tasha', right? La tu'bad ba'da al-yawm. So what he's saying here, that this is the only band of Muslims. This is the because the full might of the Muslims were out at Badr and they were ill-equipped. And now they were going for 1,000 of the mushrikeen of Makkah who were, they came out. So remember, the Muslims never come out to prepare for jihad. They were just gonna knock this caravan here, break the economic might of the mushrikeen, right? So they were not prepared for war. They came with light armory. They never come with heavy armory, right? And so they were ill-equipped and they were few. So he said, yeah, so, and they were the only people. So what Nabi Sallallahu was saying, that if we are destroyed today, Ya Allah, then there's nobody after us to worship you on this earth. So Allah in tasha' la tu'bad ba'da al-yawm. Ya Allah, if you wish, then you will not be worshipped after the, you will not be worshipped on the earth after this, because if once we are destroyed, that's the end of the story, right? فأخذ أبو بكر بيده. As Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu took Nabi some, in fact, ulama explain here, Nabi Sallallahu was so fervent in his dua that as Abu Bakr actually felt sorry for, felt, right? فأخذ أبو بيده فقال حسبك يا رسول الله. He said, enough يا رسول الله. الححت الححت, that's alahha, right? So alahta ala rabbika, literally it translates as you have, like you can say, persisted, right? But obviously, English word maybe it's got a bit of a negative connotation that you've persisted. I'm trying to think of a word that has a positive connotation. When you like you continue, persist normally refer to negative, ne? Or any word in a positive way, what you can think about, like you are very fervent, you've been, the word comes across, La yas'aluna nasa ilhafa, do not ask persistently. I'm just thinking for a nice word. If anybody got a nice word, they can share it. So al-hafda, you have asked sufficiently. Ala rabbik, you've asked enough, right? فخرج, then Nabi came out. وهو يثب في الدرع, he jumped into his armor and he said, وهو يقول, he said, now سيهزم الجمع, that the group will be vanquished, they will be destroyed. ويولون الدبر, and they will flee showing their backs. رواه البخاري, Imam Bukhari narrates this particular riwayat. So I told you al-hafta from ilhah. I told you the Quran, لا يسألون الناس إلحافا. So to ask Allah Ta'ala with a great deal, to beg of Allah Ta'ala, to ask with him with a great deal of passion, etc. So what as Abu Bakr was saying, that Ya Rasulullah, you have asked Allah Ta'ala sufficiently, right? Okay, with firm conviction. We got one input here. You've asked Allah Ta'ala with firm conviction, mashallah. You've asked him with firm conviction. So inshallah, this will be sufficient. I'm sure Allah Ta'ala will answer your dua. This is enough now. So here, when the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam saw that he's a ummati like as the Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, a normal ummati, right? He has got firm conviction in the what you call it, in the nusrat and the help of Allah Ta'ala. It also gave him sharh al-sadar. So if you went today, if you guys went to Badr, alhamdulillah, we had the good fortune. There's a masjid there called Masjidul Arish. Ain Ra Yashin. So this, where the Masjidul Arish is, at the place of Badr, this is the exact place where the tent of Rasulullah was erected. So today you got the masjid there, and they got a plaque outside with all the names of the fallen ashab of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They see also, I was checking that from Egypt, if you want to go into Gaza, then I think that place is also called Arish. You saw that if you want to enter Gaza from Egypt, it's also called Arish. right? So now the South Africans, remember the South African convoy when they tried to break the siege, but they stopped them at Arish. But anyway, this is called Masjidul Arish, right? That has been built on the place where the tent of Rasulullah was. So the miracle here is this, that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's accurate prediction that these people will be vanquished. And then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also expressed this miracle with the words of the Quran. سَيُهْزَمُ الْجَمْعُ وَيُوَلُّونَ الدُّبُرُ. That this group, yani of the kuffar, they will be destroyed. They will be destroyed, and they will flee, showing their backs. Right. So that is a miracle. Then wasaba yasibu means to jump. So in other words, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was so happy after this, and after he got this booster from Abu Bakr, and then he got the basharat, the glad tidings from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, which he then conveyed to the Sahaba Ikram, right? That he was so excited, like how, in English, even if somebody's happy, they're excited, you say he's walking with a spring in his step. What you say? When a person is sad, he's down, he's droopy, his shoulders are down, etc. But when you're happy, you walk with a spring in your step. So this Nabi Sallallahu, and after he got this good news, he got the basharat from Abu Bakr, he got the news from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, you got a spring in his step. Yeah. So Nabi Sallallahu also wore then the armor. The separate discussion about aqil wa tawakkal, putting your trust in Allah first, adopting the means, and then putting your trust in Allah Ta'ala. Okay, so the main thing, the miracle there is what? Or rather, the miracle is there that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam actually predicted that despite all the odds that are stacked against them, right, they will be victorious. Reason is hadith. Right. Also narrated the authority of Anas radiallahu ta'ala anhu that أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يوم بدر. He said on the day of Badr, هذا جبرائيل. Yes, Jibra'il, I can see him. آخذ برأس فرسه. Like, when a person is walking with their horse, then they've got the bridle in their hands. He's holding so he's saying آخذ برأس فرسه. He's holding the head of the horse. In other words, he got the horse in his control. عليه أداة الحرب. And upon him is the instruments of war. In other words, he's come fully kitted out to help us. رواه البخاري. Imam Bukhari narrates this particular riwayat. So, as a Jibreel alayhi salam, the verse of the Quran also said, Allah Ta'ala sent alafim min al malaika, so many hundred angels, thousands of angels, and they were fully kitted out. If Allah Ta'ala wanted, Allah Ta'ala could have just destroyed them directly without any angels. And then also they had whips in their hands, etc. Allah Ta'ala wants to teach us about means, etc. So 1,000 farishtas. It's mentioned here that as Jibreel had 500 angels under his command, and as Mikael had 500 under his command. So this Adat al-Har means they were fully kitted out. You say Musallah, they had all the instruments of war. So the miracle here, remember we discussed the miracles. The miracle is that Allah Ta'ala sent his angels down to assist Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and the fact that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam stole them, etc. Okay, time is up. We'll have to stop there. Ismail, you can carry on to your class. We have to switch over to the Hidayah Shareef now, inshallah. We're supposed to change the